Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum and the fact that in Q1, in January, so far, the devaluation of Ethereum from Q4 has been completely erased against Bitcoin. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe. Let's go for 100,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. So what we're looking at here are monthly candles, and what we speculated for many months was that we would see a devaluation of Ethereum against Bitcoin in Q4. And now, what do we see? We see that Ethereum has effectively erased all of that devaluation that we saw against Bitcoin from Q4. In fact, it's the current valuation of Ether Bitcoin is higher than the August of 2020 and September of 2020 candles. The only thing that it has not reached is the wick that we saw in September of 2020. Now, if you guys remember, we're going to take a trip down memory lane here. If you guys remember, we said that it's impossible to really time the bottom, right? We don't really know exactly where the bottom is. Of course, it's not technically impossible. I'm sure that we know that at least one person bought the bottom. But looking at this chart, when we were in this region and saying, okay, we expect a Q4 bleed, it was DCA Ethereum. DCA, just keep doing it. That was the general idea that I was doing. None of the things I offer here are financial advice, but just based on historical data, we expected it to bleed through Q4. We didn't know exactly where it would stop. And now you see how effectively this entire DCA buying strategy, all of that has already paid off, and then some against Bitcoin. So if you take a look here, if you take a look at the current valuation of Ether Bitcoin, we are in fact approaching that top that we had in 2020. The theoretical, or the top that we saw on that wick, which took us to a valuation of just over 0.04. So obviously we could stand to push higher than 0.04. But this certainly would be an area that I think we should keep an eye on. And it's not specifically 0.04. It was, as we know, the 50-month moving average, which was, at the time, it was around 0.040599. Now it's 0.04166. So it's gone up a little bit. In order for us to get to that point, I know a few weeks ago, a lot of people were fairly pessimistic about the idea of us getting there. Now it doesn't seem like as tall of an order. It's only approximately another 10% up from the current valuation of Ether Bitcoin. So currently only it needs to go up about another 10% or so. One of the things we discussed last week, in fact, was the idea that the valuation of Ether Bitcoin tends to increase significantly for a couple days, and then it cools off for a little bit. That's what we've seen over the last few weeks anyways. You can see it here. December 27th and 28th, we saw a gain of Ether Bitcoin from the bottom of about 22%, but then it bled back down. Here was another couple days where it went up 50%, and then it cooled off for a while. From this point, it went up 15%. From here, it went up another 15% before cooling off. And now, so far, we've seen about 11%. So this is more or less a systematic increase of the Ether valuation against Bitcoin. Of course, we know it's not going to go up monotonically, but the idea is that over the macro scale, it should go up. And you can see that we are well within our general uptrend channel that we've been following for over a year. We've been following this one for over a year, and now we're back at the halfway point, more or less. If we were to go back to the top of it, and we said to hell with the 50-month, if we went to the top of it, it could correspond to a valuation closer to 0.05. And so that would be 1/20th of the price of Bitcoin. So for instance, if it were to go to 1/20th of the price of Bitcoin, well, we need to know what the price of Bitcoin is. And again, the price of Bitcoin is not invariant. But if it were, the current price is $35,000. So 1/10 of 35,000 would be 3,500. Therefore, you divide that in two again, and you get around 1,750. So if it were to go to around a valuation of 0.05 over the next few weeks, and the price of Bitcoin remained invariant, then we would be looking at a $1,750 Ethereum. Okay, so obviously we need to always remind ourselves of the downside risk that exists. There's always risk in these markets. The main risk, of course, would be if Bitcoin decides to correct back down. So far, Bitcoin hasn't, right? I mean, so far, let's look at this chart actually. So far, it has maintained this level. However, we simply do not know how long it will maintain it, or eventually if it'll break out, right? If Bitcoin were to break out and continue to push higher, then it would likely put pause or set pause to the Ether Bitcoin valuation gain. However, if we continue to just do something like this, which is what we've discussed all along, which is Bitcoin needs to move sideways at a valuation significantly above the 20-week moving average, then what we should see is a systematic gain of the Ethereum valuation against Bitcoin as long as this continues. And we've been seeing this happen. You can see that Bitcoin peaked on January 8th, the local top. Since then, the volatility has reduced down a ton. And also, we know that in January, Ether Bitcoin has been gaining. And so far, just to give you guys an update, we are up approximately 67%. So I would say that the thesis that we had yet again in Q4, that it would bleed, that Ethereum would likely bleed against Bitcoin in Q4, played out exactly how we thought it would. And then we said in January, we would expect a momentum shift in the valuation of Ether against Bitcoin, right? All this was looking at the data. Okay, we just looked at the data. We said, you know what? We understand that the past will not necessarily repeat itself, but it's happened 5 years in a row. Maybe it'll happen for a 6th year. So it's worked out. Maybe it's luck. Maybe it's just the same pattern we see over and over again. Of course, we'll continue to follow it in Q1 to see exactly how high the Ether valuation against Bitcoin can go. So make sure you guys tune in to the channel, subscribe, turn on the alerts. Remember, we have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com if you guys want exclusive access to some more content. And we also have a lifetime deal going on. So make sure you guys check out the lifetime deal. That will last for another 10 days before the prices on the lifetime deal go up. If the lifetime deal is not your thing, we have the monthly subscription, which is you can find on the website, and you can see that right here. So if you go to intothecryptoverse.com, you can find the monthly subscription. And in fact, if you want to pay for 6 or 12 months, you can pay with crypto and get a nice discount. So you get access to weekly reports, weekly videos, the premium Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the trading view indicators, and we're doing premium list live streams. We've only done one so far, but we're going to be doing more. So make sure you guys subscribe at the very least. Hopefully we can still watch Ethereum continue to gain value against Bitcoin over the next few weeks. I will see you next time. Bye.